Sore, creaky knees is definitely not the best start to your day, but unfortunately for a lot of people with knee osteoarthritis, it is how they get up in the morning. But thankfully, there are things that you can do about it. In fact, I've had some clients who've had these symptoms completely resolve. So I'll take you through in this video what you can do, because there is hope. So first of all, I think it's important to understand why is this even happening, and there are a few reasons for this. So the first is what is called morning gel theory. So I know it might sound like you're doing your hair like Fonzie or something like that. It has nothing to do with hair gel and everything to do with your joint fluids. So we have what's called synovial fluid in our joints, and it's there to lubricate and nourish the joint. But overnight we can get the buildup of inflammation compounds, so these are called pro-inflammatory cytokines, and they're believed to make our joint fluid just a little bit thicker, more like a gel than the slippery substance we want it to be, more like an oil. So that's the first reason. The second is because of reduced lubrication. So the ways that we stimulate lubrication are from weight bearing. So believe it or not, your bones are actually a lot like a sponge, and when we put pressure on them, it helps to squeeze that lubricating fluid up out of the bones into the joint to bring the nourishment and lubrication. And when we move, we sort of spread that around the joint and make sure it's well lubricated. But when you have osteoarthritis, you tend to have a little bit more problems with dry knees, and if you're not moving around, such as when you're sleeping and not weight bearing, unless you're a sleepwalker, you're not going to be doing that overnight. So then we have a bit less lubrication when we wake up in the mornings. And the third thing is just because we're a bit cold. So this goes for anything where there's a influence of inflammation. When we're cooled down, we can be sore and stiff, and we need to warm up to feel better. So it's the same with tendon injuries and that sort of thing. So especially if you're in the hemisphere of the world right now that's experiencing winter, you might find it's a little bit worse as well. So there are 3 reasons for why you're getting this morning stiffness, and they give us our clues to what we can do to make it feel better. So first of all, we want to sweep out those inflammatory compounds and spread around the joint fluid and stimulate that lubrication. So the way we do that is with movement. So I'll take you through some exercises that you can do in bed before you get up, so you've already got that joint warmed up, lubricated, and flushed out with the inflammation. And so let's do it now. First up, we just start by easing into a little bit of range of movement work. So you're just sliding your heel away and then bending it towards your bottom as far as you feel comfortable. So you're just starting in whatever range you have available to you first thing in the morning, and then you aim to increase it gradually with reps. So you can do about 10 of these, and these are just flushing out the toxins, it's bringing in the lubrication and spreading it around the joint. Now chances are you've got a pillow handy somewhere. If you just fold that in half and put it under your knee, we can do some quads over fulcrum. So this is gentle quadricep work, pulling up through the thigh, pulling the kneecap up towards the hip to lift the foot up in the air. This is warming up the muscles that you'll need when you go into standing, when you take your first steps in the morning, and is again getting a bit of lubrication happening. Now if we put this between our inner thighs, we're going to do some inner thigh work. So this is especially good if you've also got hip arthritis, but it's also good if you've got knee arthritis. So this is waking up the adductor muscles, which is our inner thigh muscles, to get them supporting the inner knee and the hip. And the next one we're going to do is called a straight leg raise. So you straighten your leg out, push the back of your knee down into the floor, and then lifting it up in the air, and then lowering it down gently with control. So this is getting a bit of stronger quadricep work so that your muscles are ready and raring to go when you stand up in the morning, and this is a good way of warming up through the knee and through the muscles. And now we're going to do a little bit of weight bearing with a bridge. So you're squeezing through your bottom, make sure you are being really strong through those glute muscles, and then lowering back down. Now first thing in the morning, you might not want to go quite so high, that's fine, just do a little half height bridge, just whatever's feeling good for you. This is what it's about. So this is getting a bit of weight bearing to stimulate that lubrication and a bit of a stretch through the front of the knee and the thigh. So by doing those exercises, you've addressed those first 2 points of sweeping out the inflammation, sweeping in the lubrication, and you've actually already got started on the third point, which is warming up the joint. So exercise, getting the muscles going, getting the metabolism going, that all helps to warm us up. Other things you can do are having your hot shower first thing when you get up. I know that helps a lot of people speed up that process of sort of defrosting the knee. Other things you can try are just making sure you've got warm enough bedclothes on, you've got your warm doona or linen, and even having the temperature controls for your house on automatic to heat up in the morning. Some people like to have a bit of a heat rub by the bedside table. You can rub into the knee before you get up, so there's a few things that you can do there. My philosophy as a health professional is to address the root of the issue. So in this video, so far what we've talked about has all been responding to the inflammation after it started, but I much prefer to get to the root of the inflammation and stop it before it even occurs. So that is the thing with osteoarthritis, is that we can often end up playing whack-a-moley with all the symptoms that pop up, but they tend to come up downstream of what's actually happening here upstream, which is excess inflammation. So if we can address that, we don't have to deal with it when we wake up in the morning and we have all of those symptoms. So that's my philosophy as a health professional, and that's why I've created my Knee Arthritis Freedom Roadmap, because it goes through how you can address your arthritis in a really holistic way, right at the root of the issue, so that you're not having to deal with all these other symptoms. So what can we do to stop this inflammation where it starts? So the first thing, and I think this is one of the most important things, this is what research shows is one of the most effective things for knee osteoarthritis, and that is to get that joint moving well. So by that I mean it's not just about having a strong joint, it also needs to have good control, good alignment, good balance. And this is the sort of thing you can do working with a physiotherapist. I've got some beginner videos on my YouTube, and I'll continue to add to those as well if you're looking for somewhere to start. The next thing is to reduce systemic inflammation. So our whole body, if it has inflammation happening in it, you'll have inflammation happening in your knee, because none of our joints or organs are compartmentalized from our body. So we've got to address our whole body health. And ways that we do that, a big way is with diet. So definitely one of the main things I'm really careful to do is to avoid inflammatory oils. So these are things like your canola oil, soybean oil, safflower oil, vegetable oil. They have very inflammatory effects in the body. And I'm also careful to eat lots of anti-inflammatory foods. So you probably know what those sort of foods are. They're your fresh fruits and your veggies, your unprocessed foods. If you're looking for a really simple way to start an anti-inflammatory diet, the Mediterranean diet is a great way to do that. So you can do a bit of a Google and find information on that. Other things that we can do are to just make sure we're reducing stress. So believe it or not, stress is actually highly inflammatory in our body, and there can be a lot of reasons why we get stressed. So for you, it will just depend on what those causes are. It might be you have stressful relationships that you need to resolve or address. It might be life circumstances, and maybe seeing a counsellor will help with that. Maybe doing some meditation or breathing exercises will help. You maybe having a chat with friends, or doing things, practicing self-care and self-compassion. There are lots of things you can do to reduce stress, but this is really important so that our body can be in a healing mode. And then there's looking at all the other things that contribute to good health and reducing inflammation in the body. So things like getting your full sleep, making sure you're opening your bowels at least once a day, making sure you're staying hydrated. Lots of simple things. These are all basic pillars of health, and it's easy to sort of just neglect them because they're so simple, but they are actually really important and can go a long way to helping with inflammation. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it was helpful for you. If you've got any of your own hot tips for how to reduce that morning stiffness, please pop them in the comments below and we can share our knowledge. And if you're looking for more support, you can join my Knee Arthritis Freedom support group on Facebook, or if you're ready to dive straight in, you can join my Knee Arthritis Freedom Roadmap 12-week online course. If you've got any questions or comments, pop them below, and hope to see you next time.